Firearm education make you change your mind about past or any current incidences that you guys may have heard about?
I would say so. Yeah, yeah. Ever since I, started carrying legally,
Mhm.
I definitely viewed some instances in the past like, man, they could have went completely different. Whether that's like, for example, rest in peace, Ahmaud Arbery. His situation could have went differently had he been carrying a firearm, possibly. Not saying that he should have been, because them savages shouldn't have did what they did, but when I started carrying, that was just first of all, that was an inspiration for me to even start carrying. So just naturally, that was my thought process was, damn, I wish that young brother would have had something to protect himself,
Mhm.
in the case that that might happen. But so yeah, that was definitely a situation. And then just yeah, like when you hear about all these mass shootings going on in stores and schools. Again, I just kind of think back and I'm like, it would have been helpful had there been a resource officer or just
Mhm.
some legal citizen that had a firearm that could have, ended the threat early before, a bunch of innocent people being killed, So yeah, there's definitely been cases where I had to like, go back and just reflect on it and be like, damn, it would have been different had there been somebody, with some firearm training around. It could have been. It could have been different, possibly.
Me agree with like some decisions,
Mhm.
but I understand how they was able to get them out of that situation. And when I went to my class, and again, it was great information. And honestly, I feel like it's something that like every citizen needs to do, even if you don't
Mhm.
necessarily want to carry, because I
Mhm.
believe when we think about the law, it's different than what it actually implies. And when we was going over everything, I found myself asking a lot of times, well, I'm the victim. How can I be looked at as being the aggressor?
Mhm.
Right. So started talking about the Trayvon Martin situation. And I'm gonna be honest, around this time, I don't remember ever hearing about Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman. Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin. I never remember him and Zimmerman getting into a scuffle. I never remember that at that time. Only thing I remember is he was following him. He was on phone with 911 and they told him to leave this young man, stop following him. The authorities will be there. And then he shot him. That's the only thing I remember. I don't remember them ever getting into kind of a fighting or a scuffle, right?
Mhm.
So our instructor is breaking everything down. And after he gets off the phone, Trayvon turns around and like, what's going on? Why you keep following me? Then they get to fighting. At some point in time, he was getting his butt kicked by this, what was he like, 14, 15, 16 years old, right?
Mhm.
And Trayvon wound up being on top of him. And at that point in time, uh, Zimmerman felt like he was feared for his life and, you know, let him off and killed him. So at that point in time, when he was on top of him, that's when Trayvon became the aggressor, right? Now, when I listened to the story, and I'm pretty sure when y'all listened, when y'all found out about the story, it just sounded like, so you mean to tell me you couldn't handle getting your ass kicked by this child? Mind you, you a security guard. And was you really fearing for your life, or was that just a blow to your ego because you couldn't fight him back?
Mhm.
But I see how they was able to say he was fearful of his life, and he was able to get exempt from those charges. I don't agree with the decision, but because I understand the law even more now, it's like, wow, that's how they were able to get him off of that. And
Mhm.
it's like, damn, what I thought the law was, I looked at Trayvon as being a victim. But because of what the law says and how it's implied, as soon as he got on top of him, he became the aggressor. And and what he said to the court was, I was fearful of my life. And I was just like, wow. And then we started going started talking about other scenarios. If I come home and it's two men robbing me, I can't go back out into my car to go get my gun
Mm-hmm.
if I leave it because now I'm the aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
And mentally, to me, that makes no sense because
Yeah.
this is my house. You came looking for trouble, but that's when you became the aggressor. Unless when you seen them that first moment, you actually had your firearm, then you would be in your right. So it's interesting the way the law is worded versus
Mm-hmm.
what we believe it to be. You know, it's unfortunate, man. But I honestly think like even if you don't necessarily like agree with carrying a firearm, you need to know this stuff because as a citizen, the laws that you may think them it may be very different. Now again, it varies state to state, things of that nature, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we was having like a long topic discussion on that because I was just like, help me understand. Help
Yeah.
me understand that.
It's where like if somebody like walks in your house and you didn't have your door locked, technically they didn't break in, so you can't get in with that. And then like if they don't do anything but just stand there, you can't shoot them. If you do, you're the aggressor.
Those classes are interesting. I don't know if the instructor, I don't know if she was like going over a bunch of different, cases or scenarios because yeah, it'll have your mind blown. But one of the cases she told me about was I wish I could remember this guy's occupation because I don't he wasn't a lawyer. I can't remember what it was, but he was a wealthy man. Let's just say he was making good money, but somebody had broken into his house and he had his firearm and he fired off a warning shot, according to him. But the warning shot ended up killing the man, killing one of the suspected robbers. And instead of the homeowner getting away and being able to sleep in his bed that night, he ended up being charged with murder. And then I believe he was actually sentenced to a pretty hefty sentence, because there's no such thing as warning shots. That's a misconception. That's a thing that you see in movies or you see in TV shows, and a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
think, oh, okay, like I could just scare these people, like I could shoot a warning shot into the ground. Well, you can't shoot a warning shot into the ground if you're in an apartment and there's people that live below you, because now that
Mm-hmm.
may become attempted murder. So
Mm,
you have to exactly, heard that story. I was like, really? I mean, because it wasn't like that guy had that situation. He was in a house, in a big house, I'm sure, probably in the middle of nowhere, and he was just trying to get these people out of there, out of his house, without harming them. But unfortunately, he did, and by the letter of the law, and I believe it was North Carolina. I hate when I can't
mm.
remember the details. It makes the story suck. But yeah, he was sentenced and
And
jail time. But yeah, you got to be careful and you got to know the law for sure.
kind of like that. They was trying to break in, and they was breaking in from the garage, right? And apparently, like when they was breaking into the garage to get into the house because, of course, the garage is attached to the house, and something happened to where the guy shot him, and when he shot him, he made an impact. The bullet did stay. The bullet did stay in there. It didn't go through. And the guy was crawling out. The guy was trying to crawl. And he went over there, looked at him, and then put another one and killed him. And it was at that moment to where when he went over there and looked down at him to shoot him again, he became the aggressor. And you look at that situation and you protecting your family. You know what I'm saying? Like in our minds, when the threat is done, when it's not moving no more. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is what I have to keep telling myself. It's not that the threat isn't a threat when it's not moving no more. It's when it's no longer a threat to you based around
Mm-hmm.
what the law is intending it to be. There's those times when you do have the jury that is analyzing it from a point of view of them. You protecting your family. Now, you don't always get people on your side and swaying in that direction, but they try to do their best with, getting a jury that's understanding of the circumstances. Because when you protecting your family, that's your number one thing. The fact that, bro, you came into my domain. You broke into my garage. You tried to break into my house up until that point when you open, you got the door open and you seen I was standing there with that 45. And it's unfortunate that it's such a slippery slope, especially when we talking about a matter of life or death situations.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean? Even like when it come to like law enforcement, like I remember, like having conversations with my parents about like, because we know like when black parents have conversations with, their boys, you'll have the sex talk and you also have a talk about how to deal with law enforcement. And the talk that how to deal with law enforcement is if you ever get pulled over, do what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Do what they say. Right. And you think about it from a standpoint of damn, if Mel and I are on this traffic stop and we pull somebody over and he's approaching on the driver's side and I see the driver looking like he doing something with his hands, I have to make that split decision to save not only myself but to save my partner as well. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay for law enforcement just to be shooting unarmed people, but I understand that you have to make a split second decision. Now, what I think, and this is not just for citizens, this is for law enforcement too. We need to have some kind of psychiatric test to pass. To okay, you need to pass these tests before you can get your get your concealed license. You know what I'm saying? Because with all of these crazy ass shootings and these mass shootings,
Mm-hmm.
all of them passed the background test. The background test is not what we're worried about. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
it's 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 the mental fortitude of the people that we need to see if we can okay boom we analyzing this and we seeing he don't seem like he right or she's right to have a firearm. We should have as much test as we need if you wanted to go get an abortion. That process is ridiculous, you know and they want to make sure that you are content and understanding what this decision is going to lead to. why can't we treat why can't we treat firearms that way for
Mm-hmm.
both the citizens and people in law enforcement?
I heard there was already like 71 mass shootings this year, and it's only like February.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's wild right
that's
there.
wild.